What first pops into mind when someone says OCD?
Obsessive compulsive disorder.
Checking, over-checking, checking. I always check to see my stove's turned off. It's gas stove, and no matter what, before I leave my house, I always just touch it. So I think I have a little OCD myself.
Well, someone needs everything to be neat.
Yeah,
Like,
and
it can't be
someone
messy.
needs everything to be perfect. They obsess over little things.
Someone is obsessed with something.
Cleanliness.
Everything has to be right in the world.
Like everything has to be perfect.
It has to be like perfect.
What's OCD? In reality, obsessive compulsive disorder is an anxiety condition that affects many people's lives. 1 out of every 40 people has OCD at some time in their life.
OCD is when an individual has constant distressing thoughts that they cannot let go of. People with OCD have obsessions and compulsions.
Obsessions are irritational thoughts. For example, somebody might keep thinking, my hands are dirty, I must wash them. Compulsions are behaviors that people do repeatedly in response to an obsession. For example, one might excessively wash hands.
Is sometimes said to be a malfunction of the brain's information processing system. Everyone has upsetting thoughts or impulsions from time to time, but most people are willing to let go of these things and not worry about them. A person with OCD, however, gets stuck on their thoughts or impulsions and cannot let them aside.
This interrupts daily life and can ruin anything from relationships to focus.
Have you ever worked with students or staff with OCD?
Yes, students.
Okay. What are some challenges students with OCD face?
Well, when someone has OCD, they deal with very compulsive, repetitive behaviors. So, for example, I had a student who was a checker and a rechecker, so he always felt like he left something behind. So that was, he would, leave a classroom, go back to it several times. So that was hard to get him out of that routine.
What supports would a student receive at GCMS, depending on how severe their disorder is?
Well, if someone has OCD or any other type of mental health disorder, they can get accommodations. Obviously, they can always meet with the counselor in the building as often as needed. But with the teacher, they can get notes and maybe more time on tests or help in sort of scheduling their homework or long-term and short-term assignments, so they can get all these different accommodations academically.
Has anybody who you know of who has OCD ever received comments for their condition from fellow classmates?
Yes, because sometimes if someone is constantly interrupting the classroom or leaving the classroom, or is constantly have to go to the bathroom to wash their hands, any type of ritualistic behavior, like most of us are not aware why they're doing it. So kids are like, oh my gosh, so-and-so is always interrupting class, or someone's always leaving class. So people make insensitive comments, not on purpose, more because they just don't really understand what's happening.
What advice would you have for students who have peers with OCD?
I think that you just be supportive of all your peers. If you notice something is happening, sometimes keeping your mouth shut and not addressing it, or like calling them out on certain behaviors until you really understand what's going on. If you have any questions or concerns about someone, you always can talk to someone in guidance or mention it to a teacher. But the most important thing is to be kind and be supportive.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Turn it off.
I don't think they can just turn it off, but you have to understand there's a wide range of kind of mild OCD to extreme OCD. So some people can live an ordinary life, and like I said before, some people cannot even leave their house. So in general, I don't think they can turn it off, but maybe some can control it with help from therapy.